I don't endorse anybody who hasn't asked me. There's another candidate out there running who's strong as well, so no.
And it gets worse, ladies and gentlemen. Democrat pollsters are actually worried, ladies and gentlemen, that Jasmine Crockett is going to turn out more Republican voters to vote against her. Ladies and gentlemen, whichever political consultant told Jasmine Crockett to remove herself from Congress and run for U.S. Senate in Texas is a patriot. I love you. You have done a wonderful service for America. Jasmine Crockett made her announcement a few days ago, and I kid you not when I say this, her campaign is already imploding. It's not just over because it's Texas, but because even prominent Democrats like Hakeem Jeffries and Bernie Sanders are getting nervous. You would think someone like Hakeem, blink real fast, you might see Barack. Jeffries, 7-Eleven Obama, thrift store Barack, would be supporting her campaign, given that he's the leader of the Democrats in Congress. But Hakeem Jeffries isn't doing it, nor is Bernie Sanders. That's why the Republicans are celebrating her candidacy.
Yeah. Can I get your thoughts on Jasmine Crockett's run for Senate? What does it say about the state of the Democratic Party? And do you feel worried about her chances of winning at all?
I'm absolutely delighted that Jasmine Crockett is running for Senate in Texas. I think it's one of the greatest things that's happened to the Republican Party in a long, long time. She is the face of the Democratic Party. She and Mamdani. Good luck with that. I want her to have the largest, loudest microphone that she can every single day, and we look forward to having that election down there. We are going to elect another Republican senator in Texas. Texas is a red state. The people of Texas are common sense Americans, and what Jasmine is trying to sell will not be purchased by the folks of Texas. That is my prediction. Yes. Thank you. Thanks so much.
So the Republican leader endorsed Jasmine Crockett because it's great for Republicans that she's running, but here's Hakeem Jeffries refusing to endorse her.
Before anyone gets to the general election, obviously there's going to be a competitive primary, and so we'll see what happens during the first Tuesday in March.
Do you think any endorsement from you might add fuel to that fire and help get a win?
We're still in the process of working through the House battlefield, so I've got no visibility into what we might do at any point into the future relative to the Senate. At the moment, we'll leave that to Chuck Schumer and the crew over there.
Hey, if I was Jasmine Crockett, I'd be pissed. This would be like if you worked at a company for so many years and developed what you thought was a great relationship with your boss, and then you try to move up the ladder to a much bigger company or to a different field, and then you ask your boss for a letter of recommendation because he worked with you for so many years, he probably hired you, and your boss tells you, go ask HR. It's like, hey man, I don't know anyone at HR. You supervised me for years. You should know how good I am. You should be endorsing me. But what does Hakeem Jeffries' refusal to endorse say? That he's thinking to himself, yeah, she's a lousy employee. Now moving to Bernie Sanders, he was asked if he was going to endorse Jasmine Crockett. And his answer amounts to something like, I don't know you, Jasmine. Why would I endorse you?
Can I also ask you, when it comes to the Senate, Jasmine Crockett, a congresswoman from Texas, says that she's going to be running for the Senate seat there. Do you plan to endorse her? Is that on the table for you?
I don't endorse anybody who hasn't asked me. There's another candidate out there running who's strong as well, so no. We will see what happens, but it's premature to be talking about any type of endorsement in Texas.
Okay, so it sounds like you might support another candidate in this race. I
didn't say that either. We will see what happens. I don't endorse anybody who doesn't ask for an endorsement. I've not been asked in Texas yet. We're supporting, at this moment, 3 very good candidates in Maine, Minnesota, and Michigan. We're supporting probably 15 very good House candidates. That's where we are right now.
Translation from Bernie there. I don't know Jasmine like that. We're not besties on speaking terms. She hasn't asked me for my endorsement. And it gets worse, ladies and gentlemen. The Texas Tribune wrote, some Democrats dismissed the Dallas Congresswoman as too polarizing to capture the swing voters needed to win. Others said her turnout over persuasion approach is the recipe to break through. In the eyes of some pundits and politicos, the Dallas Democrats' nomination would spell doom for her party's chances of winning a statewide race for the first time in over 3 decades. To others, she's a fighter. I guess if you consider being ratchet fighting, then sure. In interviews with over a dozen Texas Democratic operatives, perspectives on Crockett's strengths and liabilities were varied. Crockett has said she can defeat whoever emerges from the GOP Senate primary by speaking to infrequent voters and motivating them to turn out for her. She thinks Texas will go blue if only more people vote. It's like I said before, and I'm going to say it again. Low propensity voters tend to vote red. They are conservative, they are Christian. That's the reality. It's the Democrats who are high propensity, who try to participate the most. There have been countless elections where Democrats have said, oh, if we can really get the turnout up, we'll win. That's what Beto O'Rourke did, and Allred, the guy that lost to Ted Cruz recently. They've all tried the turnout card, and it doesn't work. And it's probably not going to work for a lady that people view as too polarizing. If you want to win in Texas as a Democrat, at least pretend to be like a Joe Manchin, like an independent figure. People see you as a super partisan. Some said her authentic communication style, I guess, saying y'all and speaking Ebonics is authentic to Democrat operatives, and well-established reputation for going toe-to-toe with Republicans can help do exactly that. So her reputation is being loud, annoying, rude, but others say she would need to attract voters who cast their ballots for President Donald Trump in a state the president carried last November by nearly 14 points, a gap that some argue cannot be bridged by high Democratic turnout alone, and that Crockett is too polarizing to achieve. Critics say that while Crockett may drive disengaged Democrats to the polls, she will also inspire independents and Republicans to come out and vote against her, a phenomenon she can ill afford in a red state. They worry that 2026, a Trump midterm year with a hotly contested Republican primary that will leave the eventual GOP nominee bruised and battered, is too promising an opportunity to run a candidate known for clapping back against members of the dominant party in the state. Democrat pollsters said Crockett is well known to Republican voters, many of whom have negative views of her. A successful candidate will motivate the base, persuade swing voters, and demoralize Republicans. On that point, she worries Crockett would have the opposite effect. So Democrat pollsters are actually worried, ladies and gentlemen, that Jasmine Crockett is going to turn out more Republican voters to vote against her, when her entire strategy is to turn out Democrat voters. Monique Alcala, a former executive director of the Texas Democratic Party, also voiced concerns about Crockett's electability and whether she can turn out or flip enough infrequent voters needed to win statewide. Alcala said she worries that Crockett's brand of politics and her limited record of legislative accomplishments may not activate those populations. I don't think they're looking for somebody that is going to be a firebrand. I think they're looking for somebody that's going to get things done. I think that Crockett has not made that a priority of hers in Congress. Already, Republicans who have made no secret that they would prefer to face her over Tallarico are trying to down-ballot Democrats running in some of the most competitive seats in the country. Turnout versus persuasion. The graveyard of failed Texas Democrats from the last 30 years is littered with statewide candidates of all stripes. Moderates, progressives, big fundraisers, national figures, military and law enforcement veterans, profane celebrities, lawyers, business owners, and those of all race and ethnicity. None have won, baby. Numerous operatives said a successful statewide Texas race requires both turning out as many Democratic voters as possible, including infrequent voters, and persuading swing voters. Some think Crockett can do both. I guess they're smoking the devil's lettuce. Others concede she may juice turnout, but that she may struggle with independents and Trump voters. Catherine Fisher, director of the Democratic-aligned Texas Majority PAC, said she agrees that Crockett will be able to turn out voters who have rarely or never cast a ballot, but added doing so is a heavy lift and can only succeed if the candidate also wins over swing voters. We're not done cooking Jasmine, because we're treating this like she's already the Democrat nominee. She's facing a guy named James Tallarico. You've probably seen his speeches. He's a well-spoken guy. He's also a creep. Revelations came out about his connections to OnlyFans girls. He was following a bunch of them and messaging them, which is, of course, unbecoming of someone who is a student at a Presbyterian theological seminary. He's adept at framing progressive ideals and policies within the context of his Christian beliefs. So he's good at deceiving people. Tallarico also has 1.5 million followers on TikTok already. Now you understand why someone like Hakeem Jeffries is steering clear, and why Bernie Sanders is choosing to do the same, and why all those Democrat operatives are skeptical. Because while Jasmine Crockett has this high opinion of herself, and how she's the strong, independent black woman who's going to take on the white man and win, the reality is she's probably going to end up motivating more Trump voters to come out and vote against her. It's going to be so funny when Jasmine Crockett's nomination, if it happens, is the reason why Republicans consolidate support in one candidate. Because what Democrats are banking on is that Republicans are going to have this vicious three-way primary between Ken Paxton, John Cornyn, and Wesley Hunt. And they're going to be bruised and battered. And the primary winner, likely Paxton, is going to have a really hard time winning. But if it's Crockett on the ballot, they're not going to have a hard time at all. Texas Republicans across the state will come out in droves. Believe me. Anyways, thank you all very much for watching. God bless and goodbye.